in Podcast Detroit, recording live. Prepare yourself for a hoppy drive. If you're chilling at home, pop that growler and just kick back for the next 2 hours. It's the end of the week, so here's to the weekend. It's Better on Draft with Rob, Matt, Nick, and Ken.
And we are live, episode 181, Better on Draft podcast. My name is Ken. It is a nice, warm, and sunny day here in southeast Michigan, Royal Oak. Great day to wear a T-shirt, I would say. We got you got a T-shirt on. You got your little Detroit Tigers T-shirt on. Yep. I've got a polo. I always wear a polo, but you can get great T-shirts over at tshirts.beer. Go check them out. We appreciate them as a sponsor. Just because it's tshirts.beer doesn't mean you need to be a bar, brewery, or any type of alcohol manufacturer. They do custom T-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, koozies, pretty much anything you could slap a label on, they will slap your label on it. Well, I was hoping Matt would be back in the studio to start the show, but he's not. It is 7 o'clock. He knows the schedule. Ed, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. What are you sipping on over there?
Got the Old Nation Milkshake IPA Pineapple.
I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but what do you think of it?
I like it. It's good. I think the Milkshake IPA is an interesting branch of the IPA family, so I like it, and I like to try them all.
I don't. This is definitely a little too dry for me, a little too bitter. I definitely see the lactose in there, but I am perfectly fine with my nice whiskey and Diet Vernors, so I will be happy. I'm assuming Matt got arrested, so we're just going to go right into our guests over here. Why don't you start to my left and introduce yourself and tell us where you're from and who you are.
Yeah, Brian Phillips from Phillips Orchards and Cider Mill in St. John's, Michigan, and I'm one of the owners. And we've been out there. We've had an orchard there since 1852, so we've been kicking around that neck of the woods for a while.
So the Phillips Orchard, it's your family orchard?
So it's my family. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And how long have you been doing the actual alcohol making there?
The alcohol making for public consumption is very new. Is very new. Of course, back in the day, people always made hard cider, so there were always barrels in the basement. But we just went to market in the 1st of March. So
1st of March, wow.
We are brand spanking new.
So that's just 3 months ago. And next to you?
Hi, I am Eric Rippke. I make cider for Brian, and my first cider gig. Been exciting. I come from the beer world, so I bring beer perspective to cider.
Where were you before?
Ozone's Brewhouse.
Nice. Ozone's, okay.
Yes.
We've had them on before.
Yes.
I was not on that show. I feel like I was in Dallas that time. One of the there's 6 or 7 episodes of Better on Draft that I was not on, and it feels so weird when people are like, "Oh yeah, I was on your show," and I'm like, "I don't remember you too much."
Right.
I apologize, and they're like, "Oh no, you weren't there," and I'm like, "Okay, that makes me feel a little better." But you meet so many wonderful people in this industry that it's hard to keep track of everyone. Were you on that episode at all, or
no?
Okay.
Mike and Kyle came. No,
okay.
I had other things.
Fair.
It was a soccer game.
Fair. So how did you what was the proposition to get you from Ozone's into Phillips?
I just wanted to see what I could do with cider.
Okay.
Essentially.
Were you looking for a cider maker at that time?
Well,
or?
yeah, I was, and I met Eric because he was coming out to the orchard to buy sweet cider from us to make his hard cider at Ozone. That's how we got to know each other. But yeah, I had been because I'd actually been wanting to get into the hard cider biz for a decade.
Wow.
And it was always that thing about not enough time and money. And I knew from, in the past that I would need someone to make it happen because I got too many other things going on.
It's definitely an undertaking of the business because it takes the entire day, to make cider, I would assume, if it's the same process as beer.
It's shorter in the initial making, longer in the development, the fermentation. You need at least 1 to 3 months, I'd say, to be solid.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can go longer, you can go shorter, but I think that's a nice window.
Yeah.
So how many different ciders have you made since your opening on March 1st?
8.
For hard ciders, I should say.
I think 8.
I think 8.
Yeah.
Were you making ciders I guess soft ciders, non-alcoholic ciders.
Oh, yeah.
Prior, did
Yeah.
you make different types of ciders, or was it just the standard apple cider you would get at a cider
Usually
mill?
just standard apple cider. I really only started tweaking blends of apples specifically for fermentation, maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I was just playing around on my own, trying to see what different apple combinations would do. But that's something relatively new.
And I'm sorry, how many did you say? Like 8?
Yeah, I'd say 8. Quickly, 2 fruits, 2 woods, 3 woods, and herb one and a hopped one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much, I think we brought examples of all but one.
Well, let's crack one open. Why don't you? It looks like they got a label, so you know what it
Yes.
is. So why don't you open it up and tell us about it?
Yeah, well, this one is Charity. It's cherry cider, and so it's of course apples with tart Michigan cherries, and so we use whole cherries in the fermentation instead of a lot of people use just cherry juice or cherry juice concentrate, and we decided to use actually whole cherries rather than just concentrate.
All of our ciders pretty much are leaning right now dry.
Yeah.
This is probably our second sweetest.
Yep.
I know not everybody's in the dry fan.
But yeah,
So for me, like out of all the ciders that I've had, like dry ciders are probably not my favorite. I learned that from doing a lot of tasting, drinking. I mean, it sounds so, like when brewers and, you guys do research and development, really
Yeah.
you're just drinking.
Right. Exactly.
Research.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get in a lot of trouble with having a lot of research and development at home.
right.
In regards to the research and development that I've done for Better on Draft, one of the big things is just dry ciders I have not liked. And it's hard because I realized it's me when everyone around me likes Handsome Dan from Cellarman's. But the second that I tasted Handsome Dan, I'm like, get this the hell away
I don't
from
think
me.
I've had that one yet.
It is their really dry cider. I love the rest of their ciders that they've presented to me, including the Offering, which is their pineapple cider. But the just dry ciders. What do you think of the cider?
I like it.
You like
I
it?
like it. I like dry ciders, so I like dry anything pretty much. But I think it's better with the cherries than just the juice.
I was gonna say this kind of tastes like a wine, almost like a.
Cider does straddle the beer and wine world.
Right.
And
I mean, it's fermented fruit
Right.
juice, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's in that same.
Like if you would have just
Same
given
thing.
this to me, I would have thought it was like a nice little like a red
Rosé?
wine, almost like a yeah.
It would be a rosé.
Well,
potentially,
the,
at least
the,
with
the-
apples.
the-
It's
the
about the right color.
Yeah.
Okay, right, yeah.
The
Yeah.
color is definitely
it's
a
best
rosé.
I always look at trying to get the flavors right. In the beer world, if it said that something had cherry in it, I always got a little disappointed if I didn't taste cherry. So that was my focus: is get the cherry in there, see if it can.
Yeah, you definitely get it on the back end, you
Yeah.
know. And I think
It's a
using the
tart.
real, yeah, right. So you get the apple in the front, and then you get I do at least.
Yeah,
the
I'm
cherry
not
in the
like
back.
the tartness. I'm not getting too much of. Like I'm not like I kind of almost expect a like a sour feeling whenever you go for like a tartness, but. With this, like this is just sweet, easy to drink. Like this is something that, to be honest, I would love to put like an ice cube in here to make it
Yeah.
a lot more chilled.
Yeah.
And almost drink it as if like a really chilled wine for that matter.
It's pretty easy to drink, and I think it's one that's just come out. We've just brought it out here a couple 2 weeks ago.
Less than a month,
Or-
for sure.
Yeah, and I think people are they see it as an easy drinker. I think a lot of people are seeing themselves, hey, I could sit on the patio this summer and have a
Right.
couple of these.
I have not argued to finish a growler.
Right.
Yeah, this is something where to be like I would love for anything on the water, like something to drink easy on the water because it's not crushable. I'm not here able to pound it like one after another. Like I'm sipping it, I'm enjoying it, I'm having conversation with people. I don't know if I'd like it with any food or anything like that, just because of the sweetness. I wouldn't want to
With you on
mix
that,
any.
because you might lose the cherry.
Well, let me ask you a more personal question, because like for me, like I hate drinking when I eat. Like I know, like I've been to beer dinners, I've been to mix like where cocktails with the food. I just can't even going to like Buffalo Wild Wings and drinking like cheap water or Guinness or anything like that. Like I still can't. Like I have to eat and I'll drink water
Yeah.
with my food, but I can't eat and drink at the same time. It's just
It's not something that just
And
Doesn't seem
and
right.
again, I've been to beer dinners where they complement each other. And the whole point is, you know, I think I'm trying to think of the brewery that did it. I want to say it was Cellarman's, but they did it with like Mabel Gray. And I'm like, you want to talk about some of the best food in the area, plus because he's a James Beard winner over at Mabel Gray.
Yeah.
So you know you're getting some
Yeah.
good stuff over there.
Right.
And having this type of food mixed with alcohol, like I just can't. Like I don't want to drink while I eat. Like
If
I
I
want to
do
drink
it-
before, and then the second that my food comes, I'm drinking water until my food's done, and then I'm back to the beer.
If I do it, it has to be a really strong beer. So very big porter or a very big IPA, like a double IPA, and then I'm down with it.
So speaking of beers, and obviously you come from the brewers world, are you
Yeah.
interested in getting a brewer's license for Phillips?
We've discussed.
Let's put it this way:
Who's
I am,
discussed?
yeah.
Has he discussed?
I'm very interested, but at the same time, I want this to be solid and
Okay.
for us to work through that first, and then we can make things better by adding more
Well, with
stuff.
a winemaker's license, you guys are able to do a lot of other things other than beer right now that you can kind of toy with. You can
Yes.
toy with
We
meat.
can-
You can
we
toy
can-
with
we can
wine.
do-
Yeah.
I'm trying to think because you can do alternatives under that wine license, can't you?
I'm not entirely sure how much beer we can put into a cider.
Yeah,
with the
that's
wine license.
something we've got to explore. How
Yes.
much we can cross over right there without getting the brewer license.
Because
but-
I know there's so many laws and rules and between like national versus state,
Yeah.
and you don't want to upset anyone because if
Right.
you upset anyone, they're definitely going to come out. What about aging anything? Like, what's the future expansion for Phillips? I mean, you guys have only been open for 3 months in regards to distribution,
Right.
but not distribution necessarily, but open. It was a tap. Is it a tap house over
Yep,
there?
Tap room.
Like you've only been open for 3 months, but what's like the next year? Like, what are your plans, your aspirations, and your goals?
Yeah, well, I guess, the next thing on our to-do list is bottling. So
For sure.
we're hoping to get some bottling going yet in June. So that's kind of next up. But, I mean, Eric can describe, we've already got some barrel aging projects going
Okay.
that just, need more time.
First 10 batches, I laid down some bourbon barrels with cider. I went over to Coppercraft, and we hooked up with some of their Applejack barrels. So they put Applejack, aged it in a bourbon barrel, and I'm like, we got to get this, and we're going to put our stuff in it. Not huge ciders, 8%. I was able to use some apple concentrate that he had made. And
What's
had-
the ABV on this cherry?
7.2?
I just looked it up and it
Yeah.
was 7 on Untapped.
Yeah,
So
7 or 7.2, yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
A little deceptively smooth.
Mhm.
So I started laying those down. I have a couple whiskey from American Fifth. We some of the barrels that we are getting are from American Fifth. I've always enjoyed their barrels. I'm hoping to put the charity with some additional cherries in the whiskey and have maybe a special one.
Yep.
Just haven't figured that out yet.
And then, as the summer wears on, we start getting into summer fruit that we're going to work with. We grow peaches also, so we're going to try to do a peach cider. We'll get into, blueberry season. And we'll try
How
to do
did
something
the
like
polar
that.
vortex hit you guys for the peach?
It's a rough one.
It stunted everything, I'd say.
Well, I saw the polar vortex hit peaches, and I think it hit grapes pretty hard this year in regards to Michigan crops itself. So it'll be, that was the big thing. I remember we had a huge, speaking of cherry ciders, I mean, it was a meat at the time, but I remember Zombie Killer going on the shelves maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and I remember the skyrocket in the price, and I'm like, holy hell, what happened? Right. And I'm thinking maybe I went to a bad store, but it was Jack Zatuna over at Zatuna Liquor over on Rochester Road, just south of M59.
Nice job, Steph Curry.
Thank you so
Just
much.
dropping dimes.
That's the second one. He already made a T-shirt stop beer.
And he explained to me about the cherry shortage and how like the frost on the cherries ruined the crop to the point where they could only make so much and it cost so much that it just raised the price for that year. My question is, and I think Dana kind of explained it a little bit on our World Expo of Beer. That would have been episode number
175 and a half.
178.
It would have been part 3, I believe.
Okay.
So 180.5.
Something like that. There's so many. 179.
179.
Yeah, 179. There we go. What's the difference between a cider and a sizer?
Oh, I can answer that. Do you want to do it? All right.
I mean,
Ciders involve honey, usually at a 50-50 ratio or less, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
so it's kind of a hybrid between cider and mead, but leaning more towards the cider. end.
Leaning more to as if you had a cider that had a floral aspect and an unexplained like sweetness. Yeah, all the things,
Yeah.
special things that honey does.
which we have a cider.
You do
Like,
have a
We
cider.
have 10 whole gallons of it coming.
Just
Oh,
a
coming,
little,
okay.
a little
Good.
test batch.
We did a test batch
Good.
with some honey that he had that was blended from bees that were on
that
the
are
orchard.
out
Yeah.
at our farm. So, yep.
Did you cultivate these bees at your own, or did they just kind of show up? and you kind of just
we
stole
have a
the-
beekeeper who
Okay.
who keeps them. So
I don't know how beekeeping works.
I was
to be
wondering, how
honest.
do you cultivate bees?
You get really cool outfits, and you just head out to the forest.
Start planting them.
yeah,
We do have a question from the chat room, and it revolves your peach cider.
Okay.
It says, "Is it really hard to get the flavor to come out of a cider?" So I'm guessing getting the peach flavor out of the cider, so it's more peach forward as opposed to a
I would
cider
say-
or apple forward.
I would say when you're fermenting anything, you could blast out any flavor. So I always like to try and find that perfect balance at the beginning, ferment with it, and if something goes wrong, you could always add fresh fruit, redo the calculations, see what happens.
Right.
That way you get some aroma too with it. But
How does the water content of fruit affect the liquid? Like, so I know
probably
back a few years ago, I don't know who the brewer I was talking. I think it was New Belgium actually. They were trying to make a watermelon flavored beer, but there's so
So much water.
little flavor and so much watermelon
So-
that you need like 400 tons of watermelon to get like an ounce of actual
if
watermelon.
I use watermelon, I would have to potentially either buy concentrate or make the concentrate myself, just so it's a little
Yeah.
bit more controllable.
right.
Peaches, I worked with both concentrate and real. It's been hit and miss. Just trying to find that right ratio.
So I think everybody understands apple cider. What's the typical water content in an apple?
That might be for you.
Oh shit!
That's a good question.
Sorry about that.
It's a lot, but I don't. It's not a number I have in my head.
If you do,
So we're talking over 50%.
let's see here. The specific gravity of your apples is usually 104.8 to 105.2.
I have no idea what that means.
I know. So a 5% to 6% comes out automatically.
So I guess I'm trying to
think-
help the people out there in listener land figure
Yeah.
out if you have a bushel of apples, right? Is that
How many
the-
apples is in a
Yeah.
bushel, though? Let's start with
About
that.
about 100.
100, okay.
He knows where.
So you've got 100 apples. You press those, you're going to get about 3 gallons of juice.
Now, if you have a bushel of blueberries, we just talked about, are we getting the same ratio of liquid to?
No, lot less juice out of a
thicker.
bushel of blueberries. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it'd be definitely different.
So then you're using more a concentrate or whole fruit in a blueberry cider to
would.
bring out the flavor?
Yes, I would probably jump up my weights. Yes, to make that and crush it more. If I
Yeah.
wasn't using concentrate.
Right. So when on the cherry cider that we've made or the cranberry cider we made, we took whole fruit and then heated it till they started releasing the juice. So we
Burst.
didn't just throw a cherry in the
Sure,
in the
sure.
vat, just to get them started and get that juice coming out of them, and then like Eric said, a lot of times we start with a certain amount of fruit, and then as we're going along tasting it, if that flavor isn't quite as intense as we want, then we'll add some more fruit late to try to enhance that flavor until we get it kind of where we feel comfortable.
Is there a fruit you won't work with anymore because you just
Strawberries.
strawberries?
Strawberries, really?
Yeah.
What is it? What did the strawberry do to piss you off?
I think what happened is that I included the seeds. In other words, I just
Oh.
mashed up some strawberries, and the seeds they just make a weird metallic flavor to me. I have yet to try it without seeds to see if that was the reason.
How do you de-seed a strawberry?
I'm sure you can mash them up and maybe
Oh,
run through
okay.
a
You'd have to-
filter of
Yeah, like a
some sort,
cheesecloth maybe.
Yeah, something,
Yeah.
some kind of a fine
Something
screen
that
or
can handle
sieve,
that.
yeah.
But
Okay.
I think the seeds are the culprit. And I've
Bastards.
never been a hold of like concentrate without seeds or anything
Okay.
like that to say.
So you're gonna have to
But
use
so I would
some
say yeah, that
processy, sciencey stuff.
never
Right,
worked
yeah.
with
Figure that.
for now.
Process science, yeah.
Process science.
That kind of stuff.
Is there something, maybe some news you can drop today of another fruit that might be on the horizon? Maybe a mango or a papaya.
I am kind of limited to Michigan-oriented fruits
Okay.
because of our.
That's
history.
that's my fault.
Oh, it's your fault.
Well, yeah,
Blame the guy in the polo shirt. Always, right?
It's exactly the guy from the corporate office. Is
Well, he's
always
got the
mucking it up.
he's got a little polo. He's got an actual polo. You just have a pocket there for some reason. It's actually a polo shirt.
Phone so I can hands free.
But I guess, like in our retail store, we only sell Michigan products.
Sure.
We've been in Michigan. We grow so much stuff in Michigan that I really feel like, what connection do we have to pineapples from Hawaii or mangoes from Costa Rica or wherever the heck they come from? I don't feel a connection to them. There's not any connection to us or our farm, and so at least to start with, I've kind of tapped the brakes on that kind of
I
stuff.
appreciate that though. If I'm gonna go out and buy something, I tend to be on the state of Michigan team. And if I see something made, like I don't know if you put 100% made in Michigan or whatever, I would rather buy that than something.
I would cut out the or whatever part. Just 100% made in Michigan.
100%
All
in Michigan.
All Michigan.
That's
Yeah,
it.
but that's I don't know if it's necessarily a Michigan thing, but that it's like a Michigan only thing, but a Michigan thing is definitely like when you talk and people will talk, oh, what do you like? In regards to soda, you're not going to say Coke or Pepsi. You're going to bring with the fact you're from Michigan, so you drink Fago or you drink
Right.
or you drink Verner's,
Right.
or what kind of chip you're going to bring up Better Made.
Right.
These are the kinds of things that I think happen in Michigan to where you create such a it's an easy
Provincial
target market.
pride. It's pride too.
Right.
Yeah, pride.
Yeah.
Easy target
It's
market.
June, man.
That being said, I do have an out to the whole fruit that may be from the
On the
tropic regions.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna find it as a hop grown in Michigan. If I want a mango flavor or a pineapple flavor, I'm gonna go out and find a hop that works.
That
And
tropical
that's-
hop.
Yeah, that's my
Okay.
out. And we did bring one very small bottle of our hop cider. It's the only one in existence right now, which exhibits grapefruit, melon, and
Okay.
some stone fruit.
Now, doesn't that like eradicate the idea of it being a cider if it's brewed with hops?
A lot of people have made hops.
Don't say brewed.
Yeah,
Oh.
I can't say it. I heated
Fermented
it up a little
with.
bit.
How about it?
Okay.
No cooking.
So what was I gonna say?
I don't know.
Totally went blank.
So it's still a cider even though it has
Yeah,
hops.
it's still a cider. Traditionally, ciders have been hopped before in England, so we're not stretching here at all. It's a good way to bitter it up.
There's certainly a lot of hop ciders on the market
Yeah,
these
I was
days.
gonna
so
say
it's,
that's
it's
a
not.
popular.
Most of them.
We didn't blaze a new trail totally.
Most of them lean towards the piney end of
Sure.
hops, the more basic hops. Yeah, I'd like to think I'm blazing here by using some cashmere hops, something a little bit different.
Yeah, that is different. Damn, cashmere hops and
We'll get to that one later.
cider.
So you guys are from Gratiot County, right?
That's correct.
What city are we in?
St. John's.
St. John's. You guys are that speed trap, aren't you?
We used to be. Well, okay, maybe we still are. Maybe we still
Right
are.
between Lansing and Mount Pleasant. That's
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
everyone's doing
Yes.
70, and
They
you
did
guys
re-
decided to say, oh, we're going to do 45 again
They did
for the
raise
next
the speed
26
limit.
miles.
They did. Now
Yeah.
it's 75.
It's
in one of the
75 until you hit
spots.
there, and now it's 65 for that stretch.
Yeah.
They
Sorry.
literally just sit on your side of the train tracks
Yeah.
and pick up just. That's how they fund.
It's a really bad stretch of road.
Because
There's
that's
a
where
lot
it
of
bends, right?
accidents.
It's where
Yeah.
it bends. Or
Yeah.
you guys
Well, you-
north of that?
you
No,
bend
we're,
right.
we're south of the bend.
South of the bend.
yeah,
okay.
there's a bunch of different kind of Louis.
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, there's like St. Louis and Alma and
yeah.
Ithaca and
Yeah, we're clinging
Alma.
to the southern border of Gratiot. So
yeah.
Right
Yeah.
across the street from a very popular place.
Yes.
Is it that that truck stop restaurant?
that must be the one.
Yes.
So my question is for Brian, a little bit about because you grew up on the farm.
I did.
Why, like, was it instilled in you that you had to take it over, or is this something that you just wanted to take over? Or
It wasn't. I guess I think.
do you have brothers or sisters that were going to take it over if you didn't take it over?
I have a sister and a brother. Neither of them really wanted anything to do with it. When I got done with college, my parents made a definite effort to say, go, do something. If you decide you want to come back, come back. My grandparents spun it a little differently. They were like, go, but you will come back.
Oh.
So they spun it a little different. So I did. I actually lived down in Southeast Michigan for 18 years.
Close to here, right?
I lived in Royal Oak a while. Yep. So lived in Detroit a while. So, I came down, worked in the auto industry. It probably won't shock you if I tell you when I left, 2008.
Oh.
As you know.
Nice little buyout, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The auto industry was booming right about then. So
Cheap oil prices, big SUVs. When have we heard that before, right? Low interest rate on mortgages.
Should be back.
It's never happened.
Yeah, so that was kind of the segue. It had been something I had been thinking about, but that just kind of made it, I guess now's the moment.
Sure. That much better.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And do you live up there? You live on the farm and everything?
Yep, live right on the farm.
Okay.
So
It's been interesting showing up, and it's really early in the morning, and they're not up yet.
yeah. No,
So there's actually a lot of other fermenters, let's call them,
Yep.
up there. Have you
There are.
guys been collaborating with anybody into the Isabella County area or down in the Ingham County?
I have friends that work at Hunters because I came through the CMU fermentation science program. I would love to work with Steve in Hunters Ale House. I also have some good friends up in the UP in Cognition that I'd love to do something with Chris up there.
Cool.
But other than that, it hasn't gotten past survival mode. Like, we haven't thought much past it. Mostly because we haven't figured out the whole beer cider permit thing yet.
Sure.
right, but we haven't really been doing anything with the other hard cider people in the area, in central Michigan.
Gotcha.
Just
No.
Well, there's a lot of, have you guys barreled anything? Like, do you have anything sitting in a barrel?
We talked
Yes,
about
we
that.
did talk
We
earlier.
talked about
missed
that
it.
already, Matt.
Yes.
Sorry,
So
I'm
running real
still
quick.
on the
I love American Fifth,
Gotcha.
bourbon barrels,
Okay.
whiskey barrels, Applejack barrel.
Okay.
Yeah. And then one
You said you
neutral.
put this one too, right?
I want to put that one
That's-
into
to
a
put that
whiskey.
one.
I haven't done
Okay.
it yet.
on the
I mean, that's
to-do
going to be
list.
dynamite.
The barrels are sitting there ready to go. I'm gonna just get some cherries next week. I
Okay,
had it on my
cool.
schedule.
Well, I
Yeah.
know we're in the infant stages, so I don't mean to pressure you, but like,
Hurry
come
up.
on,
Hurry
man.
up.
Compared to the beer world, there is no pressure right now.
Right. Yeah.
Let's crack open another growler and try something else real quick before we go. Matt, did you have some of the charity?
I did.
Okay.
What'd you think?
It was delicious.
Everything's on the dry side. I missed that part.
I don't really, I don't gravitate one way or the other. I can just appreciate it for what it is. If it was super juicy, that'd be great too. But it really lets the fruit shine, and I'm really of a fruit beer kind of geek. Did we talk about rhubarb by chance?
We have not talked about rhubarb.
I have thought about rhubarb. I've just never actually fermented it.
It is the season, isn't it?
I have
no
been.
idea.
I thought there was like an earlier.
Are you not a
The
farmer?
the brewer
No.
the brewer aspect of me really wants to put rhubarb in a farmhouse with a little funk, but I haven't done that yet.
I just think continuing to play with different Michigan things. Rhubarb is a very Michigan crop. I think
Yep.
it's more of a spring crop than
Yeah.
anything.
Now's the time.
Yeah, it would be a great thing to. You would get tartness. You would get kind of that strawberry flavor that you detest. But instead of fighting with seeds, you would fight with fibers
I was
instead.
going to say, who's hiding the cap?
So-
lavender, yes.
Just to say what we're drinking right now, we've moved
Whoa.
on to a lavender cider, which we
Yeah, we did.
essentially hopped, dry hopped, whatever the
Okay.
lack of term, we herbed it with lavender.
to
We
brew
dry-
it or a
we
braggot.
We dry herbed it.
The lavender
Whoa.
farm is in Lansing, and I can't remember the name.
16 sprigs.
16
Lavender
sprigs.
farm.
Is it
Oh
called
my God.
potpourri?
So I would
Right?
say this is the most polarizing drink I've ever made. Some people.
What's the name of it
absolutely-
again? I'm sorry.
It's Fidelia.
Fidelia. Okay.
Fidelia
Is that from
lavender.
Eyes Wide Shut?
No.
I guess we should mention that every one of our ciders are named after Phillips' ancestors.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where that
we're,
comes
we're
from.
mining the family tree for
Where was Fidelia?
interesting names. Oh gosh, I don't remember.
ancient times.
Oh, several generations back.
But I find this one to be the most polarizing because it's like cilantro. You either love it or you hate it. Some people think it's wonderful. They love the honey pollen aspect to it and the lavender smell. And then other people think it tastes like a cleaning product.
Right.
So
It makes me feel good that I'm cleaning my insides.
yeah.
You'll be all spring fresh.
I think this is probably our biggest sipper of all.
Sipper?
Yeah. This is
Can't
definitely
pound this.
this doesn't go with food.
No.
I mean, you might find a food that goes with it. Good luck. I haven't yet, but it's definitely something to enjoy. The first time I had it, I didn't drink that much, and then the more I had it, it grew on me. It kind of that immediate strong lavender flavor kind of smooths out, and you just enjoy what you're tasting.
Yeah, it definitely was something that it grew on. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it after a while, but the first thought of it didn't instantly say, "Oh, I'm gonna love that."
I have had so many. I've had like 2 or 3, not so many, but 2 or 3 lavender ciders that I thought just didn't make it. The lavender didn't make it to the can or the bottle, and I'm not sure if that was just my getting an old bottle or what. So I really wanted to try and see what fresh could do.
I'm going to throw this out there. This would be a great steak marinade
I would go down with that.
because I think,
I disagree. I'd say chicken. I'd rather put this on chicken than steak.
I don't know, Ken, I guess you're the
Tiebreaker.
all meat
Tiebreaker.
guy now. And
I would drink it.
actually, you know what? I would smoke
messing
this
around.
into chicken, but I would marinate this onto steak.
What about pork? Pork chops.
I don't know if pork and lavender go together. Pigs are dirty. I don't want lavender bacon. Am I wrong? Are pigs not dirty?
I'm sure they clean them up before.
I think this would be great to smoke under a chicken or smoke over a chicken.
I agree.
You get the lemon kind of essence,
Yeah.
and you still get a little bit of pungent from the.
I'm still not sold on
Listen,
steak.
I'm gonna be completely honest and just you have to understand the amount of since changing my diet, the amount of meat that I eat, I just literally slap something on the George Foreman grill, add a little Lowry's, and that's it. Like, there's nothing special about what I make.
Lowry's?
Lowry's, the
Lowry?
seasoning.
from Chicago.
I don't know. It's
Whatever the seasoned salt
the
is,
seasoning
okay.
salt is, yeah. Or a chicken. I do go with the Frankenmuth seasoning because
Zenders?
yeah, the
Zenders,
Zenders
yeah.
seasoning.
Cinders makes me break
So
out.
you're not practicing to become a chef.
No, not at all. I was actually, weirdly enough, so I'm in the restaurant industry, and I was working from home today, and something popped up on my screen, and there's a video game called Cooking Simulator, and the developer was playing, and this game was so ridiculous in the amount of things that you can do. Like, he broke a plate, he dropped a piece of fish, picked it up, and started cooking it. I'm like... and he
Floor
goes-
spice makes everything nice.
he says 5-second rule is the only rule I live by.
Isn't there another game that you were showing me about, like, fast food? You got to make the burger. You got to put the lettuce, tomato on it.
Cook, serve, delicious.
Sure.
Yeah, it's basically a typing simulator, like how fast can you type and react.
Okay.
That's all that is.
Don't know that one.
It's a lot of fun in regards to just like panic typing. If you ever played like Typing of the Dead, which is there's a video game. It's like an arcade game that used to be a shoot 'em up game.
Okay. Typing?
Well, so the game used to be you would shoot the zombies that would come and attack you.
Okay.
But instead, now there's a word in front of the name, and to kill them, you have to type it.
Yeah.
I had Mario Teaches Typing in 6th grade because that was the only class I couldn't do. It was literally Super Mario #1.
Were they covered? Did you have the covered keyboard?
I had
No.
like a wood box over my keyboard.
I was
that
gonna
was
say the
that
wood
was that was what
box,
we had.
right.
No, so this one was you'd basically play Mario like
Yeah.
Mario 1, and to jump you would have to like get it going.
Type the stuff to make
Yeah.
yourself go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or else
Did
the
you have
Goombas.
the wooden box over yours?
No, I didn't have the wood box. No. Thank God AIM solved that problem, didn't it? Real fast. Mm-hmm. Yeah, modern problems cause modern solutions.
Oh my god, that cider is really really good though. So when you say dry, like I think I'm expecting something completely different.
I think you're expecting, that your
Yeah.
mouth is just going to be like
Right, like
parched and
suck it
done.
up,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
maybe a hop dry, for example.
Are you thinking of wine dry or are you thinking of
no, I'm thinking
hop
cider dry
Okay.
because
So-
of because of Sellerman's.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got
So one of the things we don't have right now is is an excessive amount of tannic,
Correct.
really tannic
So,
apples.
which is where you get some of that astringency that you probably, you feel that
dry.
dryness.
Yeah.
Right. So without those kind of apples, that's a challenge because, most people stopped growing those kind of apples. So it's been a project to try to start growing them again. And we have a few, but it's such a limited quantity that right now that it's hard to get very many in a blend.
How many apple varieties do you guys grow on the farm?
34.
And how many acres are you guys on?
The farm's 175 acres,
Wow.
and right now we've just got 30 acres in apples, a couple acres of peaches,
Plums.
a few plums, a few pears,
Do you do pumpkins?
a few pumpkins.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that a fall cider? Is pumpkin cider?
I would like that.
I've always.
Can you
Kind
do a cider with a squash? Like
I'm
I
sure I, could
suppose
do
you can
anything.
make any flavor.
I mean, yeah.
I've done it before in a beer. I'm not opposed to it. I just
Not morally
really, yeah, I'm not morally opposed to it. But taste wise, I'm not sure it melts with an apple. I'd rather just do a spiced cider than mess
okay.
around with pumpkins at all. But
Yeah.
I think I've had one on the market that I just
At
couldn't.
Phillips?
No.
Okay.
Somewhere
You
else.
tried
Like
it.
I
Oh,
think
you've
I've
had
tried.
one.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
got it. Research.
I just don't
Research,
think
yes.
it was there.
Okay.
If it was there, I couldn't tell.
Huh.
But I don't know.
Was it just pumpkin, or was there spices with the pumpkin?
Yeah, spices with the pumpkin and
Because
the
I think
cider.
sometimes I don't know how the pumpkin reacts with the apples or whatever.
Me
but
either.
sometimes the spice I think kind of saves it or
Yeah.
helps it. You know what I mean? So I would be interested.
I'm
to
always
see.
a purist. If I'm going to have
Okay.
pumpkin in a beer or a cider,
Yeah.
I would want to taste that pumpkin.
Right. Right.
So
There's
heighten
a
it with
brewery
spice.
that makes probably one of my favorites still. Like I'll still make sure to get it. And now that they distro in Michigan, Hoppin' Frog, their pumpkin beer is probably one of the best. First of all, it's the only time I've ever woken up drunk. Because I didn't realize how sneaky high ABV it was until the second bottle, Bomber.
Nice.
I was
Bomber.
gonna say
Wow,
Bomber was
Okay.
gone. I mean, that's only that, but it's still that's not that much in regards to volume. But when you're discussing such a high ABV beer, it was like double pumpkin. But mind you, Hoppin' Frog, their shandies are 6%, and that's the lowest ABV stuff that they have is their shandies at 6. We did a interview over at World Expo Beer, and I can't think of the name of it, but they don't have any beers that are even that high. One of these breweries that we talked to, so like the difference of breweries, but I think it just kind of all depends on what you're looking for and what your market is. Ohio doesn't have that many high ABV chased beers as Michigan does. I mean, Michigan, you could probably name for a good hour straight, 10+%
For sure.
beers.
Oh yeah.
Anybody that's ever gone to a winter beer fest
Oh my God.
has figured that out.
I would even
you say winter, I still say summer. You still see that.
yeah.
And it's
I was gonna say fall beer
ridiculous.
fest is still heavy with all the 10%, 12%. So
I just don't understand why you go into a festival. Mind you, it was 2 summers ago, I think, and it was Dan and Rob, and I'm like, please do not drink anything heavy. And the first thing they stop at is a drafting table, and they get one of their giant beers, and I'm like, God damn it.
800-pound gorilla, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like 800-pound gorilla. Then you go to Witch's Hat and you get tracks, and I'm
Right,
like,
yeah.
come on. I'm like, you guys, we got to be sober to serve at one point. Mind you, they calm down after that. But I just in 100-degree weather, because the summer beer fest, if you guys have
Can be
been
brutal.
Yeah, like Friday nights is usually fine. It might get a little muggy, but it won't get hot. But those Saturday afternoons, it just beats down on you.
Last year was good.
Last year,
It was comfy.
it was all right. I remember when I got home, I left my car, got up, I went to Supino's. And the second I got out of my car, I realized I can't make the last part of my trek home. So I'm like, I wound up walking at that point, which is fine because it's only like a quarter mile away. But like I was fine until the second I stood up and like my equilibrium hit and my whole body hit. Because I paid attention to my ABV. I paid attention, but something happened. I'm guessing due to being dehydrated from the hot the
summer.
The summer, yeah.
Hot sun.
It just changed me up a little bit. So that's why I always tell everyone else, be careful. But even me being careful was still not good enough. I don't know where I was going with that story in regards to the Summer Beer
Sapinos.
Fest. Sapinos.
Oh, just hot. It's just hot in general.
Yeah, just
Getting through it.
don't drink those big ABV beers. But
Right.
Hoppin' Frog, double pumpkin ale.
Yeah,
there
that's
you
what
go.
Pumpkin. Yeah, that's what it was.
You know what? Let's take that me being all over the place as a reason to take a first break. We will be right back with a Better on Draft podcast.
I'm headed for the city, trouble in my mind. I'm way too young and pretty for things to be unkind. Time is all we have now, so let's make something while we can. I'm headed for the city to make me start again. Conversation now and then. Gotta go, gotta get it. Don't make things go south, baby. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 oh. I'm headed for the city, see what I can unwind. Always gotta start it to dictate, make it in this life. Time is all we have now, so let's make something while we can. I'm headed for the city to make me start again. Conversation now and then. Gotta go, gotta get it. Don't make things go south, baby. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 These eyes ain't looking back home. No, I'm now by myself on this road.
And we are back. Better on Draft Podcast 181. Still in studio with us, Phillips, Orchards, and Ciders. Matt, we didn't really get a chance to introduce you. You kind of showed up and then you left for 20 minutes.
Business calls. Sorry.
Business.
I still have to do a day job.
I mean, I have a day job too, but I still show up.
You do not. You fly all over the world. You talk to people like Big B and Tropical Smoothie and Buffalo Wild Wings.
Crunchies. We talked about crunchies.
Crunchies, I like
And
that.
then you're like, hey, I'm going to go back to Michigan now. See you later. And then you go on beer podcasts and webcasts, talk about your keto within like 3 seconds of being on the show.
I have heard keto.
You telling
That
me
was that was fun. Did you see the post when I did the guest spot on Dallas Beer Talk?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. So I
Yeah.
couldn't sleep last night. So this morning I'm flipping through my thread, and literally it's not even 2 minutes in, and Ken's like, "Well, I do keto," and I was like, "Jesus Christ!" Like it wasn't even subtle.
I haven't posted it when I posted the share from the Dallas Beer Talk. Victor's a great guy.
He seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, very, very nice. Brand new into the beer industry in regards to like a friend brought him in and he started his own show. So that's how I know about Taps and Caps over in Dallas. Great little venue. So we did a little one-on-one interview over in
Taps and
Dallas.
Caps.
Yeah, at Taps and Caps. And we talked a lot about the most random of things, from alcohol to gentrification to...
And there was another bingo space that you said literally 5 seconds after you mentioned your keto-ness. I don't know if it was it was you talked about wrestling right after that.
WWE.
Oh, yeah, it was probably
it was
because
you were talking about going to Arizona for a wrestling show.
Yeah, I was in Phoenix for a wrestling show, and I went on Tap That AZ, which is another great show, part of the Hopped Up Network. So yeah, it's
Just give him softball after softball.
Yeah, they're like,
Let's go reference this episode. Let's do this. Blah blah.
So
blah.
easy you can hit them opposite field.
yeah, it's point to right field where the lazy kid is.
so what are we drinking? Because this is really good.
This is-
yeah.
That is from Garage
Right
Brewing. I believe it is the coffee, cold brew coffee milk stout with artisan roasted beans. That is their seasonal. I will grab you another bottle next time I go to Cali in 2 weeks.
You still owe me tacos.
You never have a taco night until you've had a LA taco night.
I bet.
So,
I want to fight you right now.
what do you guys think of the beer? Obviously, it's not cider, but it's a nice little palate cleanser before we get into more of your ciders.
I am a huge coffee fan. I would like to see more coffee, but I think this actual beer is pretty balanced.
What about doing a coffee cider?
I've thought of it. One of our coworkers has begged me to do it. I've had some coffee ciders. I think from Blake's was my most recent one. I enjoyed it. I just don't know.
I think we might be able to do it. I think we'd have to probably go with a lighter roast than you typically use in a beer, just to not overpower the cider and just make it.
I would like to know what kind of roast is in this
Right.
beer.
But
I'm sure it's probably on the bottle itself, so I'm sure we can figure it out during the break.
Artisan.
It's
I
an
think it was.
artisan. You never had a roast until you've had an artisan.
Who is it?
Artesian.
It's who is it that does the Ethiopian coffee
That
cider?
is Sellerman's.
Sellerman's. Yeah, that's who you
Ethiopian
need to
coffee
talk
is
to.
very lemony.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
but
wasn't a
it's-
fan of that.
You're not a fan of
It
that?
is definitely an acquired taste.
love
I
that.
think you need to
I like the lemon.
like
had
if,
it at
if you
home.
like
Down with
if you like black coffee, you like that beer.
I drink all my coffee black.
Really.
It's black as my soul.
Well, I mean that's pretty dark.
But no, we actually had that at Music Town. I think you that was one of the show that you came, because I know Rob brought that Sellerman's. Then I just was not a fan.
I'm a huge fan of it. I love it.
So we do have a quick question from the chat room before we continue with the show. They want to know about what your opening days hours for the tasting room.
Yeah, right now we're 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Shortly, middle of June, we're going to switch to staying open until 8 on Friday and Saturday, and maybe Sunday. But at least
Is it because the cider mill is open at 9 a.m. that you open the alcohol part at 9
Yeah,
a.m.?
It's
We're-
mostly traffic.
right, exactly. So
Daddy needs
we
a
don't
drink.
we don't get a lot of people in the morning, of course.
But it's surprisingly about 1 an hour.
But just people stopping in to fill a growler or something would do it, whenever they happen to be by. But yeah.
I've been to, when I was in Petoskey, there was a couple breweries, wineries that like Mackinac Trail Winery, Burnt Marshmallow. They like closed at like 5-6 o'clock in the evening. I'm like,
Yeah.
Here it is on a Tuesday and I'm done for the day and I want to go drink and I'm like,
Yeah.
why can't I drink here? Why are you closed? I got a chance to obviously go to Beards, and I actually have not been to Petoskey Brewing for the few times that I've been to Petoskey, but I did go to every single brewery around that area for sure. Even got a chance, I think the last time I was up in Petoskey, I stopped at Bel Air for the first time over at Shorts.
Hi, Angela.
Hi, shout out to Angela. So yeah, I haven't had a chance to do that. Matt?
Yeah, no, you're going. What would you pass it off to?
I was going to ask a question.
Yeah,
Can Ed
go
jump
for
in?
it. Of
You guys
course
have food?
can, Ed.
That is something we're working on right now,
Okay.
and that's one of the reasons
They
we
have
haven't.
apples.
Yeah.
Wow.
There,
Besides,
you can
the
get a
obvious.
donut.
Okay.
I've seen plenty of people grab a dozen donuts and sit down with some
Well,
cider.
yeah, that's actually we've been working on trying to get a food truck there, and I talked with someone I think is going to come today, but they haven't absolutely committed. But that's something we're working on because I know that would
Because
that would encourage people
that would
to
encourage
stop
people
and have a couple pints.
extend your hours a little bit. You know,
Absolutely.
We started with Detroit Frankie's.
Okay.
He showed up, but he gets really busy this time of year. So you know,
Right.
and most food trucks are really busy this year. So saying, hey, come swing by on a Saturday in June, probably not going to happen.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
we are actively.
But yeah, we found somebody who just started a food truck,
okay.
and they're very local to us. They're probably based 5 miles from where we
Okay.
are, and they do like smoked brisket and
Sign me
bratwurst
up.
and
They make their own meat, right?
and they make their
Yeah.
own meat. They smoke their own meat. So
Okay.
I'm hoping I think that's gonna pan out. And
Well, it's
that'll
kind of like, hey, we're new, and hey, you're new.
Right,
So
so
it's kind of
yeah.
be new together.
mesh and be new together, right?
Be new
So,
together.
Yeah, that's cool. So
Yeah.
hopefully it pans out for you guys.
Yeah,
you
I
know.
think that'll be good because it definitely we noticed it when we had Detroit Frankie there that people would hang out, and
Hang out.
if you got something to eat too.
Have a couple pints before they got their pizza. They
Right.
might eat their pizza there. Yeah.
We are. What are we drinking? Like I got a cider that was poured for me, but
Oh, yeah.
I think
Which
you
one?
guys are all maybe
That one
the
poured-
third one.
That's
So
Ferdinandus.
Ferdinand.
I'm short of. Yeah,
Ferdinandus.
that has not made its.
I have not made for.
That-
I'm still on that coffee one. What's the coffee one again? Garage what?
Garage Brewing.
Garage
Cold
Brewing.
brew coffee.
I actually enjoy that. The coffee shows up in a porter, and sometimes that's hard, but it's not overwhelming.
So the Ferdinandus is it's aged on French oak, so you definitely get some kind of spicy characteristics from the French oak. It's definitely different from what you've had before.
From where does your family originate in the old world?
Mostly England, Scotland, and so when we did the French oak, I was mining the family tree looking for a French-sounding name.
Oh,
and
okay.
This is as good as I could get.
Because we did Fidelia,
We did.
and I because this sounds almost Portuguese.
Yeah,
which I mean,
I would say so. Yeah.
it was as close as I could find to
España?
something that
Cool.
sounded
Did he
You
go?
kinda
Did he
like
go as
French-ish.
Peter?
yeah.
I can't
Am I
remember.
wrong?
I don't know.
Ferdinand Isabel, or the king of Spain,
Yeah,
when he unified
I
with
think,
England.
Yeah, I think that's
So,
exactly
Spain, Portugal, they're kind of.
They're right
hang
next
out.
to each other.
He's doing some deep history.
doing some
grab.
deep
Yeah,
I mean,
deep.
No,
when was
I
the
like
last
it,
time you
though.
heard of the name Fernandez, though? There's
True.
sport.
Okay,
So
I'll give you that.
It's like this was yesterday.
Fernando. All right.
I think it was a king, queen,
Yeah,
prince. Yeah,
1400s in Spain.
Yeah, I
Dude.
think so.
That's why you're not a.
Somebody
you know
has
what?
been paying attention in history
you keep
class.
to yourself.
Yeah, I
was
pay
gonna
attention
say-
in history class.
history class.
I was gonna say one of us is a teacher at this table, and it ain't Matt.
Hey, I'd be a damn good teacher.
What are you gonna teach?
I'd be a really good history teacher. I'd be a really great history teacher.
All right, Fernando.
I would not be a good math teacher.
I thought it was going to be like beer appreciation. Or something.
I mean, I'm
I'm trying to think of something you could teach in like
Oh, in a
school
real
these
school?
days.
Actual school, yeah, yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
not
yeah.
allowed.
Although I don't know if I have any chance to get back into public school, so just stick with colleges and universities.
Let's hope not.
so many doors to go. Just go, Matt. Just go.
Yeah, just say.
Do you serve all your ciders cold? I ask that because I know some, especially morning times, a nice hot apple cider is the way to go.
We're definitely waiting for fall
Okay.
in the hot category. And you've actually talked about having a slushy for.
Well, that's what I was actually just talking with Eric about, getting a still cider that we could play with making slush style because, non-alcoholic cider slush is a huge hit in the summer, and
Is it really?
it
Yes,
is.
it's surprisingly.
It's huge.
my
where have
big
you been?
issue. So for me, one of my favorite, like anything like cider, like I can only have so much. So like when it comes in slush form and it's super cold, kind of like root beer, like I can only have so much and I'm over it. But I've also had ciders before that were in slush form that were just god awful.
Really.
I've-
The cider was bad.
I've been informed after the fact that this was a bad batch that they threw into the.
They thought maybe
They
you wouldn't
save
notice
it by
if
going
they-
into the slush machine.
They put it in the slush machine. But even so, like I went to Brew Detroit and I had this was the summer beer fest and they had the slushy machine there.
Yeah, I
and
remember that.
I had the wit release that they had, and I had the wit and the slush, and it was horrible, but the beer was so good. And it's one of those things. One thing that I do like about being in the position that I am within the industry is, if I don't like it, like nobody takes offense. It's just like, you don't. I'm not gonna say that it's bad, but I'm gonna say that I just don't like it. So when like Brew Detroit had that wit and it was just so bad, and Courtney looked at me and I'm like, I'm dumping this. I'm sorry.
How was
like,
it bad?
Imagine, if you will, cold chamomile,
Okay.
just like all around your mouth. Like it's not like a hint of chamomile or a taste of it. It's just like, I'm just gonna punch you in the face with chamomile, and you're just gonna continuously feel that. It just did not have that herb. Maybe it was because it was a wit, and a wit should not have been a slushy beer.
Yeah, it potentially is. I would say that maybe it shouldn't have been so heavy with chamomile.
But I mean, it probably wasn't. But that's all I tasted.
Okay.
So again, my palate's going to be different from the next 100 people. So the next 100 people might like it, or might feel different, or might get a different taste. I'm definitely not Gordon Ramsay when it comes to food or food tasting.
Why are you
so-
drinking a wit though?
I like wits. I
Is
don't
that
like
part of his
IPAs.
likes? He likes ESBs, browns, alt beers.
Are you
and
the brown
wits?
liker?
I am the
He's
brown.
the
liker.
brown liker. Yeah.
I would agree with you. I judge every place I've ever been to by their brown.
Yeah, if you
That's
give me
my-
a bad brown, I don't trust the rest of your beers because it's hard to make a bad brown.
I'm exactly with you.
I'm the same way with nachos. I think if you make bad nachos, the rest of your food's
My
probably
wife
bad.
would agree with you. Yes.
Yeah,
Because
right.
it's the simplest two ingredients you can possibly make.
chips,
Chips
and
and cheeps.
Cheeps.
Chips and cheese. I couldn't figure out which way I was going to go first on that one.
Well,
Yeah, they're both cheeps.
oh yeah,
They added more cheeps to the recipe. So if you guys make a non-alcoholic cider slushy,
Yep.
right?
Yep, we do.
It obviously has to be different colored than your alcoholic cider slushy, or do you not make an alcoholic cider slushy?
No, the alcoholic one is a work in process for this summer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
People
I
have,
don't even
people
know
have
if it-
asked us about it, and
Can it freeze?
you know,
As long as it's under
hey,
like
there's-
know if it can
17%.
right,
Yeah.
there-
Okay. Yeah.
there's margaritas, there's pina
There's
coladas,
margaritas. There's the big one is I've been to a few wineries up in Traverse City, and they make this froze rosé.
Okay.
So they'll
Yeah.
freeze their rosé or do something with
Well,
their rosé.
Yeah.
Batch, down in Corktown as well, they do a lot of like gozas and sour beers into the freezing category because it makes sense because you've got that tartness to kind
Yeah.
of cut through the water. My only concern is if you've got an alcoholic and a non-alcoholic slushy, they can't be the same color because then you don't know if that 5-year-old's
we
running
would
around
definitely-
with.
I think
Who's getting which?
We would definitely put
Yeah,
it on
right.
the alcohol side of our building.
Oh, so I mean,
We
Yeah,
have kind of
they-
a separate.
They're
yeah.
kind of separate.
Okay.
So
because I always see kids like finding themselves into a brewery or a winery and playing, a video game and drinking their Faygo or whatnot.
I've had
and-
actually people think that our slushies, before we've even thought of putting one out that was actual alcoholic, they actually thought the slushies were alcoholic.
Oh,
don't know
was
why.
was there a placebo effect?
Yeah,
Did
I
you
don't-
have a faux drunk
I
person
don't know
there?
why, but
we're
yeah.
falling over.
But
Yeah, so it's an idea. We're gonna explore, see how it goes.
You might need to do some research.
We'll have to do some definite.
I would say
research.
sour. Is there? I mean, I'm sure. Granny Smith are sour apples, but a sour apple would lend itself really well, I think, to a slushy.
I've yet figured out how people get super sour apple finishes.
Easy.
Infect your
cider?
beer.
Yeah, on a cider.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just a technique thing that I haven't
Yeast,
figured
maybe?
out.
I was
yet.
like, I've got a bottle of
was gonna say
Bourbon
yeast.
County 2016 that tastes like sour apples for you.
I don't think it's supposed to.
no, but it makes sense.
The coffee isn't supposed to taste like sour
Wasn't
apple.
those?
No.
They said that was a bad batch, right?
Yeah, they gave refunds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
yeah.
They
It's
had
not
in.
supposed to taste like
I'm assuming they had insurance in regards to that batch, but we actually, if you look at, I want to say it's episode 178.5, which had 178. Rummel Insurance. We had an
Okay.
actual craft brewery insurance
Really?
company on the World Expo of Beer episodes talking about it. It was funny. I met the guy about 2 months prior. I trained him how to use my point of sale
Oh, the
machine.
POC,
And so I'm
POS?
looking at him and I'm like, I know you from somewhere and this is bad. And once I figured out where he worked, also to supplement his income, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, like his dad owns a brewery insurance company, which covers. And during the show, you could learn a lot about what he covers, but including things like that Goose Island Bad Batch. That's what his insurance would cover, was something like that.
Does it cover it after they've packaged and put
Yes.
it out there? Okay, not before they've packaged. or
No,
anything
no.
like
So
Well,
I
why
don't.
would you
I don't.
package
I
it?
don't
yeah,
think
exactly. What some people, have done that. Yeah,
True.
Oh, oops, we messed up.
I'm
Sorry.
assuming some people have.
I mean, let's not to beat a dead horse of Axel closing at the end of the month, but milking it with their exploding
that.
cans. They launched. They released a bunch of cans that were overcarbonated, and cans
do you
were
think that
exploding
was
on the shelves.
the reason they announced what they did?
You
today?
know, I think we could probably get Dan on the show in maybe a month or two, the guy who owns Axel, to talk about what happened. I'm not going to speculate anything.
Yeah,
like
it
that.
was a bit of a surprise. That's all I can say.
I think it took a lot of people by surprise in regards to the closing. I don't think a lot of people, obviously none of us knew about it, and a lot of us talked to Dan in passing, whether it's at the DCFC games or Axel in the first place. I know the Bruise Brothers are going to be live there on the third Wednesday of the month for the Juneteenth party. So that's probably going to be one of the last chances you're going to be able to go to Axel. So go check out the Bruise Brothers over there, one of the Better on Draft shows. They're going to be recording live. I don't know what time. I'll make sure to
By 7
post
o'clock
it.
is
7
their usual
o'clock.
times.
Yeah. So they'll be live 7 o'clock for a Juneteenth party over at Axel.
567 Livernois Street.
Yes.
Livernois Avenue.
I don't think there's like two of them. It's not like one of those like, oh, there's Livernois Street and then three doors, three streets over, it's Livernois Avenue.
I was actually just there before I came here. I went and had, happy hour. I love their food. I think they make amazing food, and their Lamburger is just.
Yeah, their food is definitely great. Their beer, I mean, they had issue. Like I think they wanted a distro and then they just stopped distroing.
Yeah, he stopped distroing over a year ago, I thought.
Yeah, because I did a brew tour back in 2016 because they were brewing at the old Milking It plant. Okay. And they had 12-ounce cans there, and I don't remember much else, but somebody drove me. And they took us into a cooler, and I had a beer, and they took us out of the cooler, and I had a beer, and they showed us the canyon line, and I had a beer, and that was thanks to Tommy McGee's. If you guys have never been there, that's definitely an interesting bar. I don't like the fact they don't have food though.
Well, they have food next door.
They do, and maybe when I went, they didn't have like food next door, so you had to like order in. But we went for I want to say it was like it was either a Conor McGregor or a Ronda Rousey fight. So we were there for an event, but I'm like, you got to have food at these types of events to keep people in. Obviously, if you're paying a cover to watch the fight, you're going to stay in, but they also do a lot of soccer or football or whatever the
They're
hell you
huge.
want to call it.
Yeah, that's kind of what they're known for these days. Is their
Yeah, I don't know what kind of supporter they are. I think it's like
Liverpool.
Is it Liverpool? Okay. You know a lot more about Tommy McGee's than I do. And I live
Well, I have a
eighth of a
friend.
mile away.
I have a
Tottenham all the
friend
way.
who was a big Liverpool supporter, and that's what he was just blowing up about Tommy McGee's last weekend because they were in the whatever cup.
Spurs all the way.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I know.
Tottenham Hotspurs.
Tottenham Hotspurs. Yeah.
I was just looking at a blog post I did, one of my first blog posts for Better on Draft, and it was a Freaking Flights American IPA, and I included their long cut. So now I'm going to have to like redo or something like that because
I'm pretty sure you're okay to not redo anytime a brewery closes.
Right.
Oh, I got to change that. No.
Well, no, I'll just come out with a new one or something.
I mean,
like
that gives
you
you
know
an
what I mean?
excuse to write
write
a new
something
one. There
else,
you go.
right? But I mean, the long cut. I don't know. I saw that news today and I was like, damn, that long cut IPA is just top notch.
You'll have to go back and get a can of it on the way
I'm
home.
gonna have to go on the way home.
Couple of
Cases.
Yeah, cases.
just-
Couple of growlers. Let them sit for a while. See what the IPA does.
That's true. Right.
You know, I do have some zombie dust that's a year and a half old right now. We should probably crack that open. And,
How do you have such patience?
He doesn't like IPAs.
I don't like
Bingo.
IPAs, so it
Right,
just
yeah.
sits on top of my bookshelf. Like I have beer that I couldn't even tell you when I bought it. That's how I've started to get rid of it. I have a friend who checks in on my cat for all these flights and trips that I do. So he's been slowly eating away at my beer. Or he'll come in and he'll bring me scotch or whiskey and drink my beer. So to me that's a good friend. Because I'm not necessarily helping him drink it because he would drink his scotch and whiskey, but he's helping me drink all the beer. I still have that cocoa shandy too,
I
by
know
the
you
way.
do. I actually thought about
like
coming down to your apartment and stealing it this week when we were in LA.
Cocoa Shandy.
Yeah, it's as terrible as it sounds.
I kind of blanked out there for a little bit. I'm not sure what he
So
said.
we have some more beer to drink, don't we? Or some more
Yeah,
cider?
let's
Cider.
crack open another
So,
cider.
with the which one's left?
Hob.
That's the hop one.
The hopped one.
One.
Yep.
Is that the
The
one bottle?
The one bottle that exists
Oh,
right now.
yeah.
We are
What
making
am I
more,
doing?
but it was very popular.
We're between
I was gonna say
batches.
that's your most rated
Yes.
beer cider on
Liquid.
Tapped.
We'll say most rated, but really it's me and a bunch of friends rating on Untapped. So
Well, I mean I see you, Eric R.
they took I took
Should slap his hands for that.
hops.
Well, hold on. He didn't rate it. He just checked it in.
Yeah.
I don't like to rate on
Wait,
Untapped.
I don't rate.
I'm
it
a
on
brewer.
Not
who-
his own stuff.
Exactly. I can't do it.
That's-
I'm going to say I
come on.
checked
Fair
in,
point,
and mostly I'm checking in just to boost it to the level where it starts actually being public, which I think is 10
There's
check-ins.
an untapped algorithm.
Yeah,
so
there's a
We-
10 or 20.
we follow a very, very a new standard because a friend explained a little bit more. I got some a new standard. So any for personal use for Untapped, if I like the beer, it's a 5 no matter what. Period. End of sentence. If I need to try it again, maybe I had a beer that destroyed my palate, or maybe it was near the end of the night. I do it as a 4. So I check
Okay.
it in, so I know, hey, try it again.
Yeah, you
and
like
if
it.
If I don't like it, I don't rate it.
Do you have
Because because I go to anyone and I say, oh, you rated this 3 1/4 and you rated this 3 1/2. What was the difference? Or oh, you rated this 3 1/2 and this 3 1/2.
Yeah.
Which one was better? Oh, well then how come it wasn't 3 3/4? And
I tend to not rate them, and I just say what I didn't like about it
I don't.
to myself.
Well, that's fair. But in regards to paying attention, because we drink so much beer, and a lot of these beers, especially high octane beers, I don't want to make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
I don't mind trying another beer from that brewery, but I don't. If I'm sitting here, say for instance, I didn't like Perrin's No Rules, which sits at $15 to $18 a bottle.
Yeah.
I don't want to go try another $18 bottle or another $10 draft.
Just to remind yourself.
Just to
Right,
remind
just
myself
remind
I don't
yourself
like
of the
it,
mistake
and
you
now
made,
now
yeah.
I'm drinking it because I paid for it, as
Right,
opposed
right.
to
I really like
Which
this
one
stuff.
was this one? Was this the hob?
This is the hob.
So
It's Cashmere hops from Top Hops Farm.
Okay. So Goodrich.
yep.
Yes.
Hitting
So
them
you're gonna get pretty much a lot of grapefruit, some stone fruit comes with it, unexplained melon sometimes.
I'm kind of lost in this one.
Yeah.
Hops do weird things when they're melded with ciders.
It's almost like a really a sweet beer.
Exactly. My idea about this was taking a Northeast IPA, but making it into a cider.
Yeah, I'm getting 0 hops, 0 bitterness.
It's a little old.
all melon.
Melon.
That's all I'm tasting is to be honest, it almost tastes like I'm drinking almost like a honeydew.
Nice.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not bitter.
I gotta search for the whatever. The
We've been
hops.
back.
I gotta search
The
for it.
previous Ferdinandus was pretty strong.
Yeah, Ferdinand's is really
But
good.
even so, no matter how long ago you made this, the hops would not have fallen off.
I
No,
don't think, I don't
an
think they
IPA.
have. I think it's the choice of hops. I mean, if you
they're
were-
very subtle hops.
I would agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're more flavor than
because you don't
bitter
get
or
right, 'cause
anything
you don't
like
get
that,
really
yeah.
anything that remotely seems piney or bitter.
Right.
So if that's what you're thinking,
I get a little bit of
Yeah.
bitter, but I think it's a well balance against the sweetness of the sugars from the apple themselves.
Nice.
So I think it walks a good tightrope. I think it adds a little bit of just backbone to it. Like, when often you get an IPA that's just hop, and there's no malt to it, it's completely out of whack. I feel like this kind of does what malt does in an IPA, is it balances the sweetness of the apples.
Trying to. I mean, that's essentially without actually adding tannic apples. This is what tannic apples do, but we get the added bonus of melon and grapefruit in it.
So I'm going to pull us back to Untapped. Have you guys seen, is there any Untapped review that you've memorized because it was so ludicrous about your liquid?
Way back in the day, I remember somebody just absolutely blasting an ESB that I made, and it turned out that it was just a bad batch. And I just thought,
Which you should never have.
the whole weekend I thought, this is the worst beer I've ever made. I felt really bad, but in the end, it was just a bad batch.
Are there any crazy reviews from Phillips right now that just, I don't like ciders, 0.5 stars?
Not yet. It's not like the beer world where
So they have a total of 36
Yeah.
ratings.
it's not like the beer
and
world
we're
where somebody
4 of them so
We're
far.
4? Okay.
where
Better
somebody
on draft
says,
is 4 of them.
We don't have a deep pool
yeah.
to draw from.
Yeah,
know, but
they've been
but you
excuse me,
do-
they've been checked in 53 times and we're 4 of them.
Yes.
Right. I mean,
It's
we do get people in the tap room occasionally who just, I mean, it's of course common to get somebody who doesn't appreciate a certain cider, but once in a while you get someone who's just off the Richter scale, like it's the most disgusting,
Yeah.
and they leave an impression.
Yeah, I've had somebody say with each tasting, ugh, disgusting. Ugh, over and over. They left with a holler, and I was happy.
Right.
Explain that. I don't know.
Okay.
It's been weird. So.
I gotcha.
I think it's a
Gratiot
it's a-
County personality.
it's
Well, we don't know where they
almost,
come from, tourists.
Just
yeah.
pass it through.
It's almost an echo chamber though. Like, you're trying to create a stir within your friends or your group or whoever
Yeah.
follows you on Untapped. There are some people who use it correctly, and I say very few people use it correctly. I think a lot of people use it as just like, I'm going to keep track of my beer. And then I think a lot of people take it so serious. But in the same sense, they're just, as Matt said, if I go in there and I rate a two-hearted, that's not fair. That's not that Bells is going to care, but, Larry Bell isn't going to be like, oh, what the fuck, Ken in Detroit says IPAs suck, half star.
Right. Right.
No, that's not going to matter. But in the same sense, there are a lot of brewers that I know, a lot of local brewers who their first few brews, when they're looking for actual responses from customers, they want to look
They
at
want
Untapped.
some feedback. yeah.
For sure. It's
And
always.
it's still, you just can't take it that serious. There's only so much you can do, and as much as for small breweries, you can control a lot. You can control how clean your glass is, you can control your service, you can control how good your beer is. But when you're a brewer that's in distro, or you're taking a beer and that beer goes to random bar number 4,
Yep.
there's only so much that you can control once it leaves your place.
Random bar number 4 might have not cleaned their tap lines in 10 years.
Right.
Yeah, they
So all
might.
bets are off.
Yeah,
once you
exactly.
hit
Yeah,
bar
you
number
never know.
4.
I mean, I can't. There are places where I've gone where you can tell the difference between like the lines that they've cleaned, and like you go to another bar and that they haven't cleaned their lines in so long. Like, I hate to use it as an example because it was my favorite dive bar for a while, but Augie's over in Madison Heights. You could tell that place never cleaned their lines, and for some
Other floors.
for some beers it wasn't too bad. Like, you just didn't like for all the cheap water, it was pretty, it didn't matter. And to be honest, really for Guinness it didn't really change the effect. But the second I had an Atwater Dirty Blonde there, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this does not taste
Extra
like
dirty.
Yeah, it does not. It doesn't taste like the beer I want. Now, I've gone to Augie's for years.
Is it because you were drinking it in a koozie?
At Augie's, no. It took me a second to realize what you were doing there. Wrong time for that topic. We're gonna take a quick break, though. I think we got some more ciders to try for the third segment. So we will be right back with the Better on Draft podcast.
so far from home. Yale's got me riding that wave. I got my money where my mind is, and I like it that way. Ha! You pick me up when I'm down. I sniff you up. It takes me all around. You pick me up when my feelings are down. I sniff you up. It takes me all around. Yeah. I know that you're feeling this way, but please believe me what I'm trying to say. Drink some water for your cotton mouth. Put some drops in and then hit the town. Nobody will know what you're doing secret. All you got to do is just keep your shits together. You pick me up when I'm down. I sniff you up. It takes me all around. Yeah, you got me riding that wave. I got my money where my mind is, and I like it that way. Ha!
And we are back, 181 Better on Draft podcast. You know, if we would have taken this break seriously, we would have started pouring one of the side. Jesus! Ed, your phone's going to give me a seizure.
That's what I said earlier.
Well, one of
Yeah.
us at this table has epilepsy, and it ain't you.
Oh, yeah, it is.
you have epilepsy too?
We've had this conversation.
Was I drunk at that time?
No, I think you were.
Don't look at my phone then.
We were driving to the UP, I think.
That might have been. I drank a lot during that week.
This is
So this is the
white oak age.
the white
so
oak
more
aged
vanilla
cider.
forward.
So this is different than the Fernando.
Yes.
This is Peter.
This is Peter.
Okay. And you said all of these are named after family members?
Yeah, because Peter was the first person in our family in America. Fought in the Revolutionary War and never made it to Michigan. But, so,
Homage to Peter.
yeah, to
Okay.
Peter.
Okay. To Peter.
Cheers
So
to
this
Peter.
is 6.8% on the untapped ABV scale.
Yep. They are correct. It is.
Well, I'm assuming you guys added them, or somebody added
You're
them
correct.
with
I
your
took the
permission.
measurements, yeah.
That's, I'm getting a little like booze on that for sure.
I'll take Peter over Fernando.
I
Thanks,
agree.
we're down the wrong pipe.
I would. I
That
would.
was not in any way a comment.
I always thought Fernandez was
Excuse me.
more for a fruit beer or a fruit cider.
Okay. This one's a little bit more serious.
This
I'm
is
getting
on
a
its
little
own.
more like a banana clovey kind of coriander.
Vanilla?
No.
No.
No, I get the oak though.
No,
I hope.
I'm not getting the vanilla. I'm getting like almost like a rum, like
Like a Riesling to me.
a coconut type.
I think that a coconut is definitely in there.
Okay. I guess I'm getting the.
Like almost like a pina colada. That's what I smell.
I just.
Like, I feel like I'm drinking Smirnoff pina colada again.
If you were to tell me this was white wine, I wouldn't.
Yeah, right.
Wouldn't,
I
You
want
wouldn't
that
argue?
nine.
You wouldn't
Yeah,
argue.
I wouldn't argue.
This is one of the white ones I don't like. But this is like a really like a Riesling almost.
I would agree with that.
I mean,
A
it's,
little bit.
It's not bad. It's just completely different than everything else we've drank, which
is
I
good.
like the fact that you use such a wide array of
Trying to.
liquid, because I mean, there's, hey, what do you like? I'll find something that pairs with you, as opposed to these are the kind of beers we make. This is our niche, and if you don't like
And-
it, then
Go somewhere else.
yeah, we have
That's a good way.
slushies.
That's a good way to say it. Go somewhere else. Yeah, right.
We have slushies for you to try.
Right. No, I mean, I think that's important. I mean, just like there's so many different kinds of apples, you ought to be able to find one that you like. You know, we ought to be able to make
you
enough
make
different.
32 of them.
Well, yeah,
34.
34.
Bam.
Sorry.
we ought to be able to make enough different types of cider that you find something that hits your spot.
Do you have a target ABV on all of them, or is it just like wherever it falls on the
Yeah, you're
meter?
Not
or-
really. I have not added any really additional sugar that would push it high.
Right.
This is where our apples naturally fall. If they're
In the
to
high sixes?
completion.
Yep.
Yeah, 6.5 to 7 is probably what I would consider average.
Yep.
7.2 is because I went a little special that day.
Add some honey or something?
No,
Nope.
it just maybe it was a really sugary batch compared to the others. But
Yeah. So really, the only things we've added any extra sugar are the barrel aged stuff that's still barrel aged.
yes,
And that we kept it, rather than adding honey or rather than adding cane sugar or brown sugar or something, we took cider syrup, which is basically, take sweet cider and boil it down like you would maple syrup. So make a thick syrup, and that way it's still all apple instead of throwing in some random cane sugar or something just to jack up the ABV.
Do you guys also make wine?
no,
Nope, not at this point.
No.
They would need grapes for that.
Yeah,
Oh,
we-
yeah,
You could make apple
grapes.
wine, right?
we could make apple wine. I have at home made apple wine. Just haven't.
Is there
ventured
much
out.
difference? Is it just the yeast strain, really, at that point?
Well, you've got to get enough sugar to get
Yeah.
up in wine territory.
You're adding a
on
lot of
ABV.
sugar.
Because
So-
the cider makers is a cider and wine license, right?
Yeah, it's a
Correct.
winemaker's
Yeah, it's
license.
winemaker's license. So we certainly could.
Yes.
It's just right. We would have to either use super sweet apples, which there are some, which we grow a very few of. You'd either have to use those super sweet apples to get enough sugar in there so you could hit wine ABV, or you'd have to add something.
You guys were talking about it off air a little bit. There's a huge cider competition that happens every single year that you guys entered in this year. What was the name of it?
Glint Cap. It's
Glint
Great,
Cap.
Yeah, Great Lakes International Cider and Perry Competition. So it's actually the largest cider and perry competition in the world. They have people from, Czechoslovakia, France, Spain, England, Ireland, Scotland.
Quebec.
Yep. I mean, basically, if they grow apples there, they probably have somebody entering. So it's a big competition. This was our first year since we just got started, and we brought home 3 bronze and 4 silver medals. So we were pleased with some respectable results for a
Yes.
first time out.
Now, I'm going to do
start.
some math really quick. You said you had 3 bronze,
Yep.
4 silver.
Yep,
That's 7.
that's
Yes.
7.
And you have 8.
We
Right.
didn't enter 8.
We didn't enter Ferdinandus.
Okay.
We didn't have it ready
So, but did you enter 7?
Yes,
yes.
So you were 100.
pretty much.
We at
So
least
all
got
7.
we got
Or
some.
Nice job, mathematician. over here.
Just saying.
He's,
like,
he's good.
hot damn, that's pretty good, you know?
Based on what I got back as feedback, which is probably the most important,
Sure.
it was a good start. Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely a good start.
Well, congrats. That's
Is
awesome.
there
Yeah.
a, I don't know if demographics are the right word, is there a geography that kind of works best for the cider? Like, do you find a commonality in the geography of the cideries that entered?
Quebec people are better at ice ciders.
Yep, that's
Oh,
kind of their
yeah.
forte.
Yeah.
I
up
was going
there.
to say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's the traditional apple growing areas. So when
I was going to
when-
say, if you go along the globe and you find all the
right,
you
so
know, temperate
you know,
areas,
right in the U.S., of course, it's New York and Pennsylvania and Michigan, and then leap out west to
Washington.
and
Yeah.
Oregon. That's where you see most of the weight of the entries. And same thing with over in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
You see most of the entries from traditional cider areas: Spain, France,
Right.
Belgium, England.
Everyone that's along that was
That-
45?
longitude.
Longitude.
Yeah.
No, it's a
Or
latitude.
is it- no, latitude's this way.
Yeah.
Longitude's this way.
No, wrong. The opposite.
No, opposite.
Latitude goes east,
Yeah.
west.
Yeah.
Longitude
Ah.
goes up and down because it's like walking up a ladder.
You should be a
45th? 45th?
45th. Yeah.
So we're-
45th.
yeah. Yeah.
So that's typically
Okay.
where you see
Um,
most of the people from.
When you guys are going out to bars, like, are you guys looking for ciders to kind of like compare what your ciders are, or are you just drinking what you personally enjoy?
I'm always on the lookout for something different. That's a challenge in bars a lot of times because a lot of bars will have one or two ciders on tap at the most, and unfortunately, a lot of times it's Angry Orchard or somebody who I'm like, that's not really what I'm looking for. So when I do find something that's more, let's say, more interesting than the big brands,
Sure.
I definitely would like to have a glass of it and see what it's like.
I always visit Horrocks and Lansing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna find your research there.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do a lot of research.
Sure.
Have you guys ever been to the Northman in Chicago?
Northman.
I've never been there. I hear it's like
Cider
the
bar?
best cider bar in North America.
When you're talking cider bars, the Northman is definitely the place to go. I did not get a chance to try anything because I hung out on Malt Row that entire day. And Malt Row, if you want to talk like the ability to go from brewery to brewery to brewery to brewery, Malt Row is in Chicago the best place to be. You're up in like the Wrigleyville territory, and again, one of those times where I went, got food, and by the time I like hit the Northman, I'm like, if I like, I'm so drunk already that I'm not gonna even have fun. So I'm just gonna get Giardino's or whatever Chicago deep dish, easy to get pizza,
Right.
lasagna, and pizza lasagna, and just go back
you're
to my
good to go.
hotel.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't get to. I'm sure you've been to CiderCon before, right?
I have not.
Okay. Well,
There's a cider con.
there's
Yes.
of course there is.
Okay,
and-
tell me more.
So CiderCon is I mean, of course, it's the big cider convention every year, and this year it was in Chicago, and we didn't get down there because we were so busy getting our stuff launched. Last year it was in Baltimore, so it's basically East Coast 1 year, Chicago 1 year, West Coast 1 year. So next year it's in Portland, I believe. You're right.
Oakland.
I think it's
Yeah.
Oakland. You're right. But it's the big thing, and so if I would have gotten to CiderCon in Chicago this year, obviously Sellerman's should have, been on the to-do list. But unfortunately, we didn't get down there this year.
Isn't Oakland like really south?
Like California.
Yeah, like really.
I would
south
assume
of-
very urban, yeah.
So why? I mean, I know you're not in the
It
committee,
is
but why
ju-
is it down in Oakland?
They do grow quite a few apples
Okay.
in California. I think it's because they've already been to Portland and to Washington
Got it.
before, try to change it up. I will say, when we look at where new cideries are opening, a lot of them are now in urban areas where it's not on a farm. Like ours is a
Okay.
farm-based cidery where, look out back, there's apple trees. And a lot of the new cideries opening up are urban ones where they're sourcing their
Okay.
either their fruit or their juice from someone out at a
North,
farm,
right? Yeah.
and then but they actually have their production facility, their tap room, in a city, which
Okay.
I guess makes sense because you don't see a lot of breweries out in the middle of a wheat field someplace or a barley field or so.
I'm looking at the Cider Association website,
Yep.
and apparently there's a New England cider.
Oh my god.
There is.
Yes,
What is
usually
a
with
New
a lot
England
of
cider?
raisins or
Raisins?
Yeah, raisins and brown sugar, I believe, to bring up the ABV.
Okay.
Yeah, I have made this at home, and it's kind of like hot hooch.
is what it comes out.
I was gonna say the fuck is
That sounds like you just named a cider.
Hot hooch. I don't know if you've
don't
had
think that's
any
part of the-
ancestors that are
I was
called
gonna
hot
say
hooch.
I don't think there's the hot hooch Phillips.
That's the nickname.
Who is the whore of the family?
Yeah.
I've not heard that story.
All right, so I'm reading the U.S. ACM cider style guidelines.
That's the Bible right there.
New England style cider are made by chaptalization with additional sugars and typically fermented to an alcohol range of 7 to 13% by volume.
It's approaching wine as close as you can without being wine.
Under some circumstances, they are labeled as apple wine per TTV regulations.
Right.
Raisins are commonly added. These ciders are still carbonated and often barrel aged. It is thought that this style of cider was produced in colonial America.
Yeah, and we definitely have a community of folks in our neck of the woods who like to make some barrels like that, at home.
I've heard some crazy stories about Fowler basements that at first I thought were terrible. Like they would say, your cider tastes like a Fowler basement.
Is Fowler in your?
It's very
county?
close, yeah.
It's
a couple
close,
miles
though, right?
away, yeah.
Okay, miles
And
away.
Got
basically what they're saying is that these old timers would buy bourbon barrels and they would make their cider in the bourbon barrels, and that's what they were used to. And they were actually complimenting me, and it took me a while to realize that.
Realize
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
a compliment.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a backhanded compliment.
No.
It's a true compliment.
No,
right?
for
Okay.
sure.
It sounds, it's not like a backhanded compliment. I'm like, man, this tastes like Taylor water. Because that would be that would be pretty bad.
Yeah.
We got another bottle over there, don't
Yes,
we?
we have.
You read my
cranberry.
mind.
Is your glass empty too?
Absolutely.
Is this the last one that we haven't tried yet?
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
What
There is
it?
no hopefully.
Yeah, right.
Yoda once said, "There is no try, only do."
Yes.
I think he
my
also
wife
said,
reminds
"Live long and prosper." I don't know for sure.
Yeah, so this one is Eugene.
Okay.
Eugene. Eugene is in your family.
Well, Eugene, my husband's grandfather was Eugene, but it was also named for Eugene because this is maple aged, so it's aged on maple wood.
Okay.
And we have a local maple syrup producer who's
Whoa.
named Eugene.
Yeah.
And
I haven't even poured it yet. I know.
Yeah. It's probably the sweetest
because
out of all of them.
yeah, like in the tap room, we would serve this two different ways. We'd either serve it straight up, or we'd put a little splash of maple syrup in it and serve it that way.
I'm almost getting like a butterscotch on here.
It's possible.
So yeah, maple wood, just a different,
I'm gonna be honest. This tastes like pure sugar.
But it's not. It's actually fermented all the way through.
I just taste sugar. Like I feel like diabetes in my body right now.
It's weird.
It's not
Like
gonna,
it's not as
gonna
it's,
happen.
it's
You're
not as
safe.
bad as like when I've had woodchuck for the first time.
Woodchuck is
Uh,
straight diabetes.
yeah, I was at a convention in Dearborn,
Eugene,
and they had
you are
free
Phillips.
beer for the entire convention.
Yeah.
And so we had Rochester Red, Bell's Oberon, and we drank them out of both by the time Sunday morning happened. So we were just drinking woodchuck because free. I mean, this is a good personal question. Do you guys turn down any free drinks?
Have I ever? No.
Okay.
I think that's bad form.
Yeah.
So if
I'll tell you how bad I
As the
dislike
Polo
it.
Club guy would say, right?
I'll tell you how bad I dislike it, but I'll still drink it.
so like if I came in with like a bottle of like 5 o'clock vodka and poured shots for everyone.
We usually cook with that, but
I
I'd
want
be
to
all
know
right with it.
why you have 5 o'clock vodka and why we're still friends.
You have to have something
I
to
don't,
put in
but I'm
LaCroix.
trying to find the level.
Find the limit.
Find the level.
You might have just found it.
Yeah, you stop drinking 5 o'clock vodka when you're allowed to legally buy vodka.
That's fair.
I
How
think,
about 5
How
o'clock
about
vodka is
Southern
like,
Comfort?
oh, I'll crush SoCo.
I haven't had that since I was a
No.
teen.
You're sweet.
I was gonna say I don't
Sorry,
think
Mom.
SoCo and Diet Dew?
I haven't had that since I was like 19.
Yes. I got
SoCo
a
and
lot
Dew,
of trouble with
SoCo
that.
and Sprite.
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
just-
Mom.
I don't think you are.
It's been
You're
a
old
while.
enough; she can't smack you with the shoe at this point, right?
Not yet, but when she gets a hold of me, yeah.
I was gonna say my mother still like learns new things when she listens to the show about my life and how growing up. Like you used to go to Augie's when you were 17. Oops.
Yeah, we were talking about playing pool and sneaking in. Like, just keep playing pool and sneaking in, and then eventually that when you don't have to pay the cover, and you get to the band at the end.
Got it.
So what was your introduction to craft beer beverage? What was your gateway beer that said, all right, this might be for me? Something that got you off the yellow sauce.
Medieval Brewing Company out of Syracuse or New York area. I can't even remember if it was in Syracuse or the New York area. Yeah, for sure. I had 2 of those, and it was the first one above 8 that I had ever drank, and I couldn't get from the stool to the bathroom. Saranac, too.
Okay.
So hold on, I guess. Was there a style of beer that won you over, or was it just that brewery in general?
The brewery in general, but I think if we were going to go style, when I came back to Michigan, I had NBC, their white ale. I can't remember the name of it.
Celis White.
Celis White was like officially
Marcellus
like,
White?
yeah, well, it was like the one where I'm like, wow, something changed in Michigan, and I
Okay.
really enjoyed that. Yeah. You're laughing like I said something terrible.
No, that's an off-air conversation.
There's
Okay.
definitely
Is there-
an off-air conversation.
all right.
for
Were you
this.
too
I'm
drunk
not-
to find the bathroom in Syracuse, or were you unable to work the zipper?
I
You
wasn't
were
too
there?
drunk. I just couldn't walk there because I had never experienced a above 5-6%
right.
beer ever, and I had 2 or 3
You were
at
drinking as
happy
if it
hour.
was
Exactly,
regular
and
beer.
I had no idea what was going on.
So in regards to Celis White, just in case you're ever in Texas again, Celis
Yes.
is still brewing in Houston.
Really?
Which I believe you can get all in Texas. I actually ran into the brewer in Dallas last year at a random store. Wow. I recognized the logo. I'm like, oh, Celis. And she's just like, oh, how do you know Celis? I'm like, oh, I'm from Detroit, so I used
Yeah.
to know Michigan Brewing. And she's like, oh.
I always wondered where that yeast strain went to.
So Michigan Brewing Company owned the rights to brew Celis.
Okay.
And then once Michigan Brewing Company went under, Celis took it, and it's the Celis family that owns it again. They took it to Houston, and they have their own brewery in Houston. Which point they can, I assume you can get it in Dallas because I assume that's the reason she was in said Dallas beer store.
Yeah.
Or it'd be really weird to have met her at said city. 'Cause she had a car too, so I assume. Or it's really like more and more I think about it, it's either it was her or I have a lot more follow-up questions I need to talk about this woman.
What's the brewing company? that does
Celis
it?
Brewing.
Celis Brewing. Okay.
Yep, Celis
I
Brewing.
had no idea.
CELIS.
I'm so glad you told me. I'll have to seek it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I will off-air talk. I'm going to Dallas in a month or so, so I'll see if I can bring you back a bottle or two to enjoy.
I trade you some of that hooch in my basement.
I tell you what, every time you have if you make a beer or excuse me a cider like the hooch in your basement, you could call it Marla
Oh,
from Marla Hooch.
nice.
What a hitter!
Nice.
It's a League of Their Own reference. Baseball movie, Tom Hanks.
No, I got
Rosie
it.
O'Donnell, Madonna.
There's no crying in baseball.
That's the only part of the movie that I remember. And I might have watched that in like 3rd grade at Latchkey.
I'm kind of
Third
surprised.
grade,
'Cause
I watched that as an adult.
I was gonna say you're a sports person. I would expect you to know the sports movies.
But
like
it came
that.
out in like 91.
Yeah, but that's a pretty iconic sports movie.
It must have been.
Anyone?
Google it.
I was
Pull up-
close to high school.
Pull up the Pedia on it.
Yeah.
I won't tell you how old I was.
I don't really
No,
want
I
to.
was
Not talk about
92.
90, okay.
So I was in a bar.
I would have been 6.
I was a sophomore.
You were in a bar in
I was
92?
no, not in 92.
Okay,
Earlier
yeah.
this year, I was in a bar and we were actually recasting A League of Their Own for 2019.
Really?
And figuring out who would play whose character
Done
and
with
stuff.
that. Yeah.
And I can't remember much. I remember for Rosie O'Donnell, we had
Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I see
That's
that.
fair. Yeah.
I think I'm trying to think for Tom Hanks. I think we had Chris.
Paul
Pratt?
Rudd. Paul Rudd.
No, I had
Chris Evans?
Yeah, Chris Evans. That's
Chris
the one.
Dempsey.
No, Paul Rudd. That's a or Jason Segel would be great as that as well. And then Tiffany Haddish would have to be part of it, or Jada Pickett.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, here we go. I actually have it real quick. So
Kept notes. I like
Tina Fey as Dottie.
Okay.
And Amy Poehler as Kit.
Then Maya Rudolph's
works.
got to be in it too. Then
Yeah,
Allison
has to.
Brie as Madonna's character, all the way May. Jamie Brewer as Marla Hooch.
I don't know who Jamie Brewer is.
Then for Tom Hanks' character, we put Ryan Reynolds, Bradley Cooper, or Ben Affleck.
Not Ben
No, those are
Affleck.
way too heavy hitters.
Ryan Reynolds.
Well,
Tom
Green
Hanks.
Lantern. Come on.
you can't. Oh,
What
I
about
know,
Chris
he's
Pratt?
Not, he's not on the level of Tom Hanks.
We didn't have Chris Pratt. We had Allison
Chris
Brie
Pratt.
as Shirley Baker. Somebody suggested Margot Robbie as Dottie. Somebody said might as well just make it more natural or more up to date and put Sam Jackson as the coach. Ain't no motherfucking crying in motherfucking baseball.
I actually think I would be down with that. Yeah.
Well, I think that follows the whole Donald Glover Black Spider-Man. No. If Donald Glover's going to be Black Spider-Man, we might as well make Michael Cera as Shaft. You never heard that?
I haven't heard of those.
But now you want to see Michael Cera as Shaft.
hi horse. Can you?
So,
Digging that.
along with Phillips Orchards, what do you guys do at the cidery itself? Like, are you guys a full-on cider mill? Is it kid-friendly? Is it...
Yeah, I mean, we're a full-on cider mill. So we have cider, we have donuts, we have caramel apples,
You pick.
we have
You pick?
pick.
Okay,
But
okay.
I guess there are some cider mills in the state that are definitely like big kid destinations, and that's not really our thing.
No
Our
haunted
thing-
hay rides?
No little kiddie train, no jumping pillow.
What about
no,
a big kid train?
Maybe.
Oh man, they're making some. You're
Now,
making some
now you
hits.
can,
Right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, a little bit.
now you can ride on a horse-drawn wagon ride in the fall.
Horse-drawn?
Horse-drawn.
Real horses.
The real deal.
Hot damn. Which one's that?
Eugene.
So yeah,
That's
so
sort-
I mean, we do the regular fall thing with pick your own apples, pick your own pumpkins, cider, donuts, the whole deal.
Now, where are you guys located?
We are St. John's, Michigan, so we're actually 8 miles north of St. John's, right on 127 on the west side, 8 miles north of M21.
So there's that Michigan U-turn, right?
They're
Yes.
not at our corner.
Oh, okay.
You can still make a direct crossing at our corner at the moment.
I know where you're talking about.
Put
Yeah,
your
I
blinker
gotcha.
on about half mile, and you should be safe.
Yeah.
Now, is there a gas station immediately, like
There's
Back-
a gas station about a mile south of us.
and then isn't there also like God, I'm trying to pull all my central knowledge out here.
There's
Like a
there's a-
storage facility as well, like
there's
a
a-
sheds and picnic
Oh yes,
tables
there's
kind
a
of.
big what
That's
are they
south.
called? Jim's
That's south of
Amish
them.
structures.
Yes.
right.
Yeah, but isn't that south of you guys?
A little
though?
south.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a mile and a half or 2 miles
Yeah,
south of
that's-
us.
So if you see the gas station or the Amish furniture,
get ready,
Keep going.
ready,
keep
yeah.
going a little bit.
going.
Get in the
Keep
left
going.
lane.
But
and
you're
get
about to
ready.
start getting drunk.
Right, get in the
Get
left
that,
lane.
You see the
yeah.
gas station, get your blinker on.
Okay.
Just to be safe, because there's a hill
Right,
and there's some maniacs.
Or if,
and there's
or if you're
some
coming
maniacs and
home
some
on Sunday
traffic,
afternoon
so-
from being up north, and you're coming southbound, you cross M57, cross the
You're
Maple
leaving. You're
River.
leaving the casino. They took $100 from you, $200 from you. You're playing blackjack, and
you're
they
100%.
You can leave
right?
the last 20 with us.
leave the last- I tell you what, I have not had any luck at casinos lately, and it's kind of irritating.
Matt, what's your record at the casino?
I am undefeated at Soaring Eagle.
Soaring Eagle? Usually
I'm
I
actually
don't have a-
undefeated at actually all Native American gaming establishments. I
I
went
definitely am not.
quite heavy at the Seminole Hard Rock in Tampa a few years back.
I went to the Indian Casino at the Oklahoma-Texas border, just north of Dallas.
I'm sorry.
And first of all, this is the world's largest casino gaming floor.
Wow.
Not one table of Pai Gow,
Of course not.
period. They had 4 Texas Hold'em tables.
And how many did you spit on?
That's roulette. And they actually just got live roulette earlier this year. They did not have roulette or craps until earlier this year. They
So
had,
what were they doing with all that floor space?
lots of slots. There's a lot of like table areas, but they're like 20 tables and then like separation of slots. So you just continuously walk through. So like there's a blackjack area. When I went, there was actually craps and roulette and stuff, but I wound up losing money at the Anchorman slots because they didn't have Pai Gow, so I just played some slots and then left.
I hate slots.
Me too. I'd rather play table games, but I wasn't in the mood to go play blackjack, and they also had automatic reshufflers. Which if you're a casino person, when you're playing blackjack and playing like 6-deck blackjack, reshufflers is when they take, maybe a whole deck of cards, and once you've gone through one of the 6 decks, they take that stack, put it back in the reshuffle machine, and it reshuffles again. So you're not necessarily counting like you can't count cards, but in the same sense, it changes the entire game and adds a couple percentage points in favor of the house. Therefore, I don't like playing that game at all.
Are you a card counter?
I am
Is that what
not.
you're saying?
I am not, but I don't like the fact that it's knowing.
They're leaning on the scale.
Yeah, they're putting their thumb on the scale a lot more than just me gambling.
Did you see this past week that James Holzhauer lost on Jeopardy?
I did see that.
Yes.
just
I just wanna
like 70,000 short of the
60,000.
Ken Jennings record.
Yes.
I enjoyed Ken Jennings back in the day.
I think so. I think he just kind of.
Are you in that camp? You think he just kind of threw
For
it?
it?
Yeah, 'cause
Oh man!
I think he probably just wanted to. Well, if you read a thing, he wanted to go. He had a daughter that was really upset that he was gone. He was like a very young daughter, like a 6,
She was
7.
4. Okay.
If you had a 4-year-old, I
They
guess.
can be demanding.
Well, because you
Sure, I don't know. but-
to be honest, you can play. I think they do like 3 or 4 games. Of
yeah, they
Jeopardy
do
per
in a day, right? In a recording.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, so like
So-
their recordings are pretty well in advance. Like he
That's
was
only
already
6
home
days.
and
Hanging out.
yeah,
the
do,
time-
doing
he
ESPN.
signed the NDA to.
Yeah, you
you
can't.
know, yeah.
You can't do anything.
How of all things, like, how does Jeopardy pull that off when stuff like The Bachelor, they find out like the next day?
At the same time, though, they leaked his episode. That's how I found out.
I think they
yeah.
did that on
that's
purpose.
why, right? But that's why I turned.
I think it was on NPR before it even aired.
Yeah, there are some
got the
things
scoop.
because they were pulling hype and they leaned into the hype of him. Because I mean, when you have that type of
Right.
ranking stuff, if I told you, hey, he lost, now you're gonna watch it.
Right.
Because he's been winning so much, now you want to see who beat him.
Especially all those guys that were girls that were like, "Hey, I'm not watching anymore until he loses." You had that audience as well, so.
But just as much as we love an underdog story, we love seeing someone get completely
like
demolished.
the
and-
Patriots. Yep.
I mean, it's for him, it's not like he lost money or like he went to the
right. He
negatives.
didn't lose anything. Yeah. He still got $2,000 because he beat the other schmuck in the middle.
You know what'd be funny is
What?
if like he wasn't like a negative balance at the end and they took the money from his winnings. Like, sorry, you were at negative 1,600, so we're gonna take 1,600 from your winnings and not put you to zero.
Well, yeah, but he wouldn't even, if you watch Jeopardy, he wouldn't even been able to participate in Final Jeopardy.
That's true. That's true. I
Just
mean,
saying, I'm a purist, so just saying.
I don't play enough. I miss all the old game shows.
Right.
Card Sharks.
Card Sharks. Card Sharks was
Yes!
good.
What was the with the whammy?
No, that was
That's
Press Your
Press
Luck.
Your
Press Your Luck.
Press Your
Yeah,
Luck.
I love that on USA.
Have
back
you
in the day.
have you
Yeah.
seen the story of the guy who cheated Press Your Luck?
No.
What?
Yeah.
on
So there,
YouTube?
you can find it on YouTube.
Actually, you can find it on Netflix, I think.
I don't know if it's on Netflix. I've watched it on YouTube, but there's a guy who cheated Press Your Luck because he figured out the trend, and he figured out this 2 spots where it always would hit 500 plus free spin.
Really?
And so he hit it and hit it, and it was like a 3-day thing that he won.
Yeah, he had like 80 spins, I think. He rocked
Yeah,
that too.
by the time,
Wow.
and then what happened was he gave away all his spins, and then somebody picked him up and gave him back spins.
Really?
And they're like, shit.
I
I
love
like
that
Match
show.
Game. Match Game was one of my favorites. 'cause
Or
you had
what was the MTV version of Match Game?
Singled Out?
Singled Out. There you go. With Jenny McCarthy.
And Carmen Electra.
Carmen Electra. Sorry. My
Carmen
bad.
Electra better than
Phillips Orchards, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you coming on out. All of this cider
problem.
was amazing. You can go check them out over in St. John's off of 127. They're open during the day, during the week, and the weekend. So definitely go early, go often, and that's going to do it. Ed, thanks so much for joining us for the show. We appreciate
having
you
me.
filling in for
Appreciate
Rob and Matt, Rob and Nick.
Rob Matt, yeah.
Missing
everybody.
I mean, you guys are both short, you and Nick. So that's going to do it for us here at Better on Draft. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's Better on Draft.
Better on draft.
Have a good night. Peace.